So, speaking of interesting bingo variants, our next event on this channel will be the Museum of Bingo 4. That will be early in the new year. Hang on, let me go find the date.
I believe it is 2 weeks from now. But don't quote me on this.
Yeah, January the 4th and 5th will be Museum of Bingo 4. We've had a form up for about 2 weeks now, asking people to suggest variants. We're basically done with that stage. The form for people to sign up to participate in the event should be getting posted sometime today. So if you want to help us show off some of our different progression schemes, some of our different bingo variants, at varying levels of playable to cursed, though limited by what we can sensibly show on stream, which is an unfortunate limiting factor. There are some bingo variants that are great, but don't make for a very good viewing experience on a Twitch stream, so those
Yeah,
have to get sidelined. But we make an effort. Um, we don't don't hold me to this. It could still fall down, but we might get to see Zombingo on this upcoming museum. Just giving you a
that would
little
be fun.
spoiler there.
For those of you who don't know, Zombingo is basically you have a set of people, generally like 5 to 8 or so, playing, and whoever is the last person to get whatever the requisite amount of objectives is in a cheat mode lockout game, um, gets eliminated, and then it progressively gets like one person at a time until you're down to just one. However, the players that are eliminated continue playing as zombies, just trying to lock other people out of objectives. And if they get enough objectives, they actually can get reinstated back into the game, though it gets progressively harder to get revived as the game progresses, so that it doesn't just go indefinitely. Um, and then one thing, I don't know if this part would go on to stream or not, but that we like to do, just playing it casually, is a final round with just one living person against the entire zombie horde, where we just black out the board and the living player tries to get as many objectives as possible while all of the zombies are actively working together against them. Also, talking about the fun variants that are not going to be good formats for um, museum. One of my favorites is Katango, which is a variant of Katango, which is where one player routes another player who's playing the game but can't see the board. Katango is that, but you do it in a language that your exec just can't understand. And it's very silly, very chaotic. The first time I played it, I managed to convince my exec to city skip. I was not trying to convince them to city skip, but that's what they thought. Unfortunately, it just doesn't make a good experience on stream because you mostly just see two execs being immensely confused and two routers yelling in a language that most of the viewers would not be able to understand either.
Yeah, I mean, we have difficulty just showing regular Katango because you want to be able to hear the team comms, but then we also have regular comms watching the game and talking about what's happening, talking over them. So that gets kind of tricky. Adding in a language barrier and just so much of what actually makes the variant fun doesn't get across to the audience.
Right. Also, I see someone in chat mentioning Quaternion Katango. No. Uh, smile. That is a variant that exists and is not an easy one to play or to show on stream because there are 8 people who are all playing Celeste, and we just can't put that many streams onto a screen and make it understandable.
Yeah, and actually, just for the record, no one even suggested that for Museum. If they had, we would have rejected it, but no one even put it into the form.
I'm kind of surprised nobody did that just as a joke. Like, I would extremely doubt anybody would put that in with the expectation that it would get in, but I really would expect someone in this community to put it in as a joke. You know who you are.
Yeah, we did get 1 or 2 joke suggestions. I think one of the suggestions, I don't remember which one, and I'm not actually going to look it up, but because there was a field for what would make this, or why would this be a particularly good variant to show on stream, and they just put in that field, it's not. Meanwhile, the intermediate bingo bash. Thank you everyone for bearing with us through this long delay. This whole bash has been a struggle working around players' availabilities, so I guess it just makes sense that this would happen or something like this. But we should be getting going with our grand finals soon. Players are just setting up, and we can once again have bingo instead of just sitting here enjoying the music. Also, an interesting note, this is a rematch. CVZen and Videocake played in round 1 of this tournament. And as noted earlier, CVZen came into this tournament very rusty, so probably didn't give their best showing in that game, which she lost. But she's improved as the tournament has gone on, so I think that this grand finals rematch should make for some interesting bingo.
Yeah, and in fact, looking at other parts of this bracket, Stevie Zen did lose to Video Cake, but has since beaten Arrow Bounce, who beat Video Cake yesterday, in the second round. So, yeah, they've definitely gotten quite a bit better, less rusty throughout the tournament. So, very much could have a good chance against Video Cake here, or it could be that Video Cake's skill set is something that's proving harder than usual for CVZN to fight. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how this is going to go.
All right, and it looks like we're getting started. So, yep, transition back to the game. Okay, so looking at this bingo board, what do you see?
First things first, there's not a lot of like common rush objectives in like 1A, there's really just chasm barriers, but then 2A has both awake and two optional Theos if you want to get Theo and awake and then go back. So I highly expect we're just going to see a rush to awake. After that, there's definitely some in both 3A and 4A. I'm seeing 4A one upping to Grabless and Cliff Face. 3A has Diary Elevator Shaft and a couple of things that most likely aren't first pass objectives. We've got Complete Pico and Reach Library. But honestly, given that there's also like nothing in 5A, I think it's a relatively balanced split between 3A and 3A skip. I'd personally skip 3A, but I could absolutely see an argument to not do that. Getting 4-winged faster, getting Diary and Elevator Shaft, and then just being able to sort of do other things earlier while the 4A player is still playing their route into 5A.
Yeah, so I'm noting here that late game is not very valuable here. There's Grabless Rock Bottom, Summit Cassette, and 2K and 2.5K gems. And obviously those gems are late in the chapter. The cassette is a decent way into it. Rock Bottom is a decent way into Chapter 6, whichever version of it you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing early in Summit or Reflection, which means we could see some interesting... Oh, there's also 20 berries in 7A, which, again, that takes a while.
That takes a
So
while, but it does place you right at cassette. The 20th berry is literally underneath the cassette room. If you're getting all the berries, though, generally you'll skip one or two to get the faster ones later in 1500 meters. But that does mean Summit has the potential to become like win-con material for somebody, but it's again likely not the first thing that's going to happen.
yeah, well, so part of why I was looking at that is that if you're not as worried about progressing into late game, Farewell is kind of strong here
Yeah,
because we
we've
have use
got
7
2 keys,
binoculars.
3 keys,
Farewell is
7
good for that.
binos.
2 keys power source, 3 keys power source. Potentially 1 binocular in 4 chapters as well.
Yeah, 1 bino and 4 is a relatively hard objective to find if you're not really doing a B-side route, which there's B-sides here, but not really enough to get you to 1 bino and 4 unless you're doing a just 5B for progress, or if you're doing anti-progress stuff like both 1B and 3B, because we see those objectives on the board. So
Yeah,
could well see
if you just
Farewell First Bino being useful for that. It's
yeah,
relatively late in the chapter.
yeah, if you just play straight progress, then you get 1 binocular in 4 chapters from 2A, 4A, 5A, 5B, but there's not a huge amount of value here in playing 5B other than unlocking the late game chapters, which are of limited value themselves. So it's possible we could see Farewell for that instead.
Yeah. I have just noticed all collectibles in 5A is on the board, which could incentivize using 5A for progress just to have a bit quicker of access to that. And also, I mean, you can still get your stun seekers there, and maybe some progress on blue hearts and berries that have objectives.
Yep. While we've been talking about this, I have really not been paying attention to what the players have actually been doing.
Nor have I.
But we're in 2A. CVZN has a bit of a lead. I saw that Videocake definitely got the 2A Bino.
I
I
don't
think
think
CVZ did, but I
CVZen
wasn't.
did. I was not watching closely enough, but I watched them enter and leave the room. I think a bit too quickly for them to have gotten it. But I was looking at Video Cake when they were actually in the room.
But yeah, obviously no objectives so far. So it's just a question of who got binoculars and possibly who got winged berries for 4 winged berries.
Yeah,
Being an
the
objective that could
only
have come out
objective that's
relatively
even
early.
possible to have been gotten at this point is chasm berries, which is just not a thing you do first pass on almost every board. There, you again, like most things in bingo, you could find a counterexample, but you aren't gonna find many of them.
Oh,
Oh,
Video
that
Cake
was a
taking
harsh
an
death of Video
unfortunate
Cake.
death there. Yeah, I mean this has got to be the longest room in 2A.
Oh, by far.
So yeah, dying right at the end of it. Okay, and we see CVZen going through a wake. Is she going to grab the berry here? Yes. Okay, so that is going to be our first objective ticked on the board. I, yeah,
Season, why did you do that?
just ignore the
What were those
platforms
jumps?
and jump around the spikes. It's fine.
Okay. One thing I do want to point out is Video Cake was sort of held up, especially through a lot of yesterday's games, as the fastest player in this tournament. CVZen has gained a progress advantage against them. So that's a thing. Good to
Yeah,
see
I
Video
mean,
Cake still going for Wakeberry, probably just to get four winged faster, which makes sense.
yeah, I think I should have been paying attention when he got the berry to see his winged berry count, but I think he may have picked up both winged in City as well.
Yeah, we can watch when the pause for granny cutscene happens, unless it's too fast for the number to come on screen, but we may well be able to check it there. I tried to check it for ZVZen, but they skipped cutscene too quickly. Both of you are going for berries here. Why are you both? Oh, right, there's a one-up. Okay, no, both of them skipped too fast. Couldn't read winged count. CV looks to be about finishing up their one-up very cleanly. And there are no comms curses in today's stream. Let's go. You have 6 berries following you. Thought they were about to go get the seeded berry just to have another.
Yeah, so the objective is
We
not
are seeing a delay.
ticked though.
Yes, we are seeing a delay. Could be using this just to get info on whether or not Video Cake is in the same chapter. But I don't like that play. This is not. You're not in a strong enough position to be sacrificing an objective for information. Okay, that
Okay, it
is
does turn purple.
a scary delay. With look at
Yeah,
Video Cake. They
I mean, Video Cake collected one berry early, and if he
if they had
hadn't,
not
then he would
collected
have
that
already
very
had
early,
the one up.
yeah, they were so close to getting that objective. Okay, CVZen just got their third wing, which means they're going back to 1A now. Video Cake does not have time to get this Old Trail wing before CVZen's going to have their third objective.
Yeah, this is a really unfortunate start to the game from Video Cake's perspective.
Yeah, a lot of just hive minding, both players going the same direction, and Video Cake getting exec checked to it.
Yeah, and even with CVZen having won all 3 objectives, she's still ahead.
Right. One thing I want to point out, just in terms of routing optimizations, Video Cake, only due to the delay, admittedly, would have won for a one-up if they had not gotten Awake Winged. If you see that you get locked out of Awake Winged, and there's like 4 winged on the board, most likely you're just gonna lose 4 winged anyway. So it's not really worthwhile to get Awake Winged at that point. Just sort of accept the loss of the other objective and get progress to fight for, I don't know, 1-up and 4A. So I definitely would have preferred to have seen Video Cake not just also get Awake Winged. I think it definitely would have helped them in this game.
Yeah. As far as the execution difference between these players goes, I think it may well be true that Videocake has the best any percent in the bracket, but the other side is that CVZen is primarily a golden player, which means maybe not as much speed, but consistency, and consistency counts for a lot in bingo.
Yeah.
On the other hand, she is now struggling with Grabless Cliffface and
Yeah.
has lost a certain amount of that lead. So we'll see how well Videocake knows Grabless. Yep, okay, so he's
Admittedly, if
catching
there's
up.
anyone I expect to be able to figure out Gravis Cliff Face, that's CV Zim. But I also kind of more expect Video Cake's any percent strats to maybe just work for Gravis Cliff Face by accident more so than CV Zim. Both of them
Yeah,
now in the hardest room. You need a really good bounce at the end here, which CV Zim gets first try. That is definitely going to help
okay,
them
that
if Video Cake can't get a good bounce soon. Oh, Video Cake gets it as
okay
well,
then.
and we're tied again.
Yeah,
CVZN having a
this
little
is
bit of
the
trouble
other
getting onto this last
hard room.
platform. Yeah, for this room, my recommended strat, just keep doing reverse hypers. Just reverse extended hypers all the way. And CVZN is through. That is the last room where Grabless particularly matters in Cliff Face. The last 3 rooms here are very easy. Most strats don't even grab in the first place. Oh,
Oh
that's
no,
an unfortunate
Videocake
death
makes
for
it to the
Video
end
Cake as
and then
well.
dies. And then CVZen takes the objective, which at least means Videocake can turn off Grabless. But
Again,
yeah,
we
this
have Video Cake down now 4 objectives and half a checkpoint.
okay, so
So,
what do we
CVZen
expect
RTM.
next?
2 Theos?
Or chasm
2
berries?
Theos.
No, two Theos. Yeah, this makes sense, honestly,
Yeah.
because
You're not
like we
racing for
said, the,
anything particularly quick at this point, and with the amount of lead you have, just doing no progress and letting your opponent tell you where they've been this whole time is admittedly a very good information play. Because if you left 2 Theos on the board and they take that, that doesn't tell you where they've been. That just tells you they got 2 Theos. Everyone has 2 Theos access. But getting letting them get any progress objectives is much better. Why are you going for this heart, and why are you going for this cassette? both,
well,
I think
Videocake
both of our
presumably
players
is
are
doing
thinking about
chasm
Moon Red
berries.
City.
I think chasm berries is a decent choice here. Um,
Yes,
the
but
heart,
Video Cake is getting
yeah,
a
I
cassette.
guess do Red City. I mean, if you're here getting the berries, the cassette is on the way. I don't hate it.
Same,
Why are
why are
we
you in
into a
start?
start?
Blue Heart.
Full blue. I mean,
Ah,
hmm,
that checks out. That makes sense. You have access to
yeah.
three
I
and a half Blue Hearts.
I mean, yeah. Really, like I prefer the Chasmberries play or two Theos because those are the quick objectives here.
Yeah, Chasm
If
Berries also has the added benefit of there's 100 berries on the board, and this is 5 of them. Also 10 and 4,
yeah.
actually.
Uh, aside from that, I'd say someone could go into farewell here because that can just be 3 objectives.
Yeah. Zen is playing for Shrine Arb now. Interesting decision. And Video Cake is playing for. Please. Oh my god. Shrine Arb race! Though, as you noted earlier, given that Video Cake's main exec point is in any percent rather than um Arb, this and the fact that they're already behind, this may not go well for them. Again, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess we'll see.
Okay, well, CVZen also doesn't seem to know the berry route, so perhaps they're not the most experienced in ARB either. Video Cake is going the right way, though.
Yeah.
I think both players got the final berry in Shrine just going through their first pass, so I don't think that's going to play into this at all. Zen needs top berry and then the two near the heart. Video Cake needs the two berries on this path and the two near the heart. So I think Zen is still in the lead despite the misroute earlier. Oh wait, during that pause, I don't think Zen actually got the final berry. I don't think it was blue. I think I saw 3 gray dashes. Both of them don't have it. Okay, I'm just wrong. Video Cake is getting, both of them are getting blue heart. Okay. I mean, yeah, it definitely does make sense if you don't do C-pop to skip last, berry, but at the same time, it's not that much slower to do, to just ride the block and grab it than it is to do block hyper. Okay, also, I think we're having a bit more delay on Video Cake's stream, potentially. Oh, wait, no. CVZen just didn't take the objective. Video Cake looked for it and didn't see it, and then Zen ticked it. Oh, that is painful.
Yeah, and now CVZen is in 3A, which obviously has a few objectives, and Video
And
Cake's
so is
just
Video Cake.
following. This is
This
really
is just
tragic from Video Cake's
this is just a
perspective.
tragic path of the game for Video Cake. Just doing the same thing and one of them being faster is one of the worst ways to lose a bingo game. Of note, also, CVZen, I believe, has 3 blue hearts, which means they're most likely just going to do a heart order in here and get another objective while they're getting through the chapter that Video Cake isn't even fighting for.
Yeah, I mean, oddly, like Video Cake just following into 3A may even be right, because at this sort of a deficit, you kind of need to just exec check and get some lockouts to get back in the game. If you just keep doing different things to your opponent, they'll keep the lead they already have. Doesn't make it any
Yeah,
less painful.
The thing is, you need to take the same thing as your opponent, but you also need to be ahead of them to it so that you win the lockout rather than them winning it. Video Cake is going for Pico, okay. Which means that often the correct play is to not go for the same thing they're going for, but to go for the second thing they're going to go for, which Video Cake is not succeeding in that effort. And granted, figuring out specifically the second thing that your opponent is going to go for is not an easy thing to do. I have spent a lot of my bingo career being at an XX disadvantage trying to figure out how to counter-route people, and I still don't often choose the correct second objective that they're going to go for. Also, Zen didn't do the heart retry.
Oh yeah.
They got the heart. They have the objective. They just didn't do the retry into books. That's just a knowledge check, I guess. Zen is a very experienced goldener, but apparently not very knowledgeable about the speedrunning routes.
No, because she did the retry in her game earlier, if you recall, the pre-recorded game. She did chest's first hard order, but she did the retry.
Oh yeah. True. Yeah, EP moment, I guess. Flord says.
This does mean that
not doing retries. True.
This does mean that Video Cake has actually gotten ahead in 3A.
Yeah. This is going to be the first lockout the Video Cake.
And he quits out. Oh no.
No! That's not the strat! Go back! Please! That is tragic.
Okay. I mean, Farewell is a good choice. This is a good place to be. But it is unfortunate that he could have gotten the Diary and Elevator Shaft before coming here.
Yeah, Diary and Elevator Shaft also would have given them access to 3B Bino. 3B Bino, along with 4A and 2A that Video Cake has. I remember noticing Video Cake get 2A Bino. That would get them 1 Bino and 4, which they don't have access to if they don't get 3B. CV Zen, assuming they have 2A Bino, is going to get cassette here, and then they're going to have actual access to 1 Bino and 4 if they go Farewell or 5A. Oh, they went straight up to Diary, so they have to redo the room to get cassette.
So, a little tip from a very old bingo VOD. If you're racing for the diary, but you still want the cassette, you can go into the cassette room and then come back out, get the diary, and retry, and you respawn next to the cassette room.
Yeah, it loses about a second and a half, so if you think you have a second and a half to spare, it's definitely worth to do that, because it saves, the entire room again. If you know that you're in an extremely tight race, of course, there's exceptions, but if you don't think your opponent is within 1.5 seconds of you, definitely you can just do that. Being up 7-1, I would be more than willing to take the risk of seeing my opponent take an objective. Honestly, isn't that bad.
Yeah, because the odd thing here is that from CVZen's perspective, a game like this is actually quite difficult to play because you don't know what your opponent has been doing all game. Chasmberries tells you nothing.
Yeah. Zen is actually delaying a lot of their ticks. I don't know if that's just they think they should, which I don't think in terms of knowledge you have the knowledge to do that. I think they may well be just thinking, honestly, I don't care if I get locked out. That tells me where my opponent's been, and it makes it so much easier for me to route a bit.
Yeah, because a lot of routing decisions are made around what you think your opponent is doing or has been doing, because you don't want to go for an objective that your opponent already has like 80% done, because you expect to just get locked out. So here, with no knowledge of what your opponent has been doing all game, that's kind of every objective you just go in thinking, I might just get locked out of this at any second.
Yeah. One actual trick for that I think at least a couple of expert players have used for like routing a strong exec disadvantage is like you take just a couple of objectives to make your opponent think they know where you are while you're working on other stuff. Um, which is it makes your opponent's routing so much more reliable than if they just had no idea where you are, because then it's so hard to route. People just start playing weird. Um, but yeah, so it doesn't really apply to this game. But yeah, if you're trying to make your opponent play the same thing you are, tell them that you're somewhere else instead of telling them that you're nowhere.
And bullet, yes, yeah. There's the wall on the left when you're doing powerbox skip. The part of the wall that doesn't have spikes on it comes down further than the platform, so you can jump off. It's very useful knowledge to have.
Yeah. We do see Video Cake getting a couple of objectives here, both Farewell and the 7th Albinos tick. Getting them a little bit back in the game, but still down 5 objectives once they take them all off, and a bit of progress of just Stevie's Incident 5B. Video Cake has not yet entered 5A.
Yeah, so I guess we have to see where Video Cake goes at this point. Because, so I mean, with our knowledge of where CVZen is, it might be good for Video Cake to just rush Unraveling and farm Seeker Stuns. Just because that would lock out
Yeah,
something
so that's
CVZen would
actually
otherwise
the
get.
only play that Video Cake has, technically. Because CVZen is going to play this into Summit, and there's just 3 objectives in Summit, and there's Stun Seekers. That is enough for CVZen to just win. Okay. Video Cake ticking there. I would have preferred to see them tick just while they're frozen getting the cassette. Because like you haven't allowed enough time since CVZen's last tick for them to get into Power Source, I don't think, even excluding 1 Bind on 4. And you don't lose time to ticking things when you're in a cassette, because you're not doing anything in Celeste when you're just sitting there for 5 seconds getting a cassette.
Yeah.
Can they make up time with more efficient stuns? Yes. So there's a couple of tricks to like getting stuns. One is get into a room with 2 seekers, farm both of them. A different thing is like you can just do stuns as you're playing through the level instead of standing there getting them all and then playing the level.
Yeah. So this is all moot because Video Cake has also gone into 5B. But yeah, if Video Cake had rushed to Unraveling, the thing is, it is more efficient to get Seeker Stuns in 5B because there are a lot that you can just get on the way, and there are more rooms with 2 Seekers. so you can farm them better once you're there. But if you just go to Unraveling, you
You
reach
reach them
Seekers
earlier.
earlier.
Yeah, Video Cake, even despite the amount of difference in when they entered 5A, would have still reached Seekers, I think, at least a couple of seconds earlier in 5A than CV Zen did in 5B. And CV Zen isn't farming up to 20 immediately. Both, and apparently Video Cake as well, they're playing through the chapter and getting the stuns that they get in the chapter. Now, here's something I didn't expect. Video Cake has caught up.
Yeah, maybe that better any percent time coming into play. Now we're playing the any percent chapter.
Yeah. This is, I think, probably one of the chapters in 80% that has the largest difference between people who haven't practiced a speedrun of it, compared to just being like efficient with movement. Is like you kind of just need strats for this chapter to be fast. Video Kick isn't getting a lot of stuns, but the problem that I was foreseeing earlier was CV Zen winning 20 stuns and then just having a summit win con, and Video Kick can now stop the summit win con. It's still not pretty, but it's not lost anymore. Zen is apparently going to farm up to 20 right at the end of Seeker Gauntlet. And the score is now, or soon, 10-4.
Yeah, Video Cake getting a 247 5B, I would be pretty happy with that, honestly.
Yeah. I've barely been able to get sub 3 5Bs recently. Because I'm like washed or something. I don't know. Meanwhile, CV Zen getting about a 530. Or potentially more, depending on how this room goes. Okay,
Oh, Video
that
Cake
room at
does
least was
lose
quick.
time by going back for stuns because
Oh,
CBZN
CV
delayed
Zen's
it.
delay is finally actually paying off. The UK does just go for it. Alright, very close together entering Summit now. Now, what I would like to see from CV Zen is rushing 20 berries in 7A and sort of ignoring the other two objectives here a little bit, and just like, okay, if you end 20 berries, you know, the cassettes there might as well. But just in case Video Cake is here, there's a lot of other objectives that you can sort of get that 20 berries helps you with. It helps you with 10 and 4, it helps you with 100 berries. And you still have quick access to, you know, like, library, I think. No, you don't have. CBSN doesn't have library. No, they do. They do. I don't know. Yeah, you have quick access to library. You have quick access to into the core. So there's a lot of quick objectives that you can get if your opponent is here, and 20 berries in 7A is an objective that your opponent may well skip in order to block you from the other that are here.
Yeah. Interestingly, though, Video Cake is getting berries and CBZN is not.
Yeah. Zen should multitask Blue Red City and into the core berry. No, they shouldn't, because one of those takes like 40 seconds and one of those takes 2.5 minutes. Well, not from this point, I guess, because they have City Blue, but
Yeah.
still.
I mean, how do you multitask into the core berry?
You
It's so
get
short.
the first, you unlock into the core, and then you start doing Blue, Red, and City. Oh, multitask Summit with those things. That's also not true, because Summit has 3 objectives, and you want to do that quickly.
I mean, honestly, I think at this point, as CVZen, you have 10 objectives. There's something to be said as a strategy for just ignoring the synergies and just getting some isolated objectives. Because you know your opponent cannot just leave your 3 objectives all in Summit, because that's such an easy win con. So you assume they will try to stop you doing that, and you meanwhile just go into the core Pico and something else library.
Right. This
But
is
also at 10 objectives to 4, CVZN can kind of do whatever they want.
yeah. This is something I've talked about before. As like referred to before. I mean, as like finishing a win con versus getting more win cons. What CVZN is theoretically doing in Summit is finishing a win con. Right. There's enough objectives here that they can win, so they're finishing their win con. They've set up in here. Going somewhere else and getting side objectives increases their amount of win cons because it's like, okay, well, I'm now at 11 and I can just do any 2 objectives, right? Some of them kind of synergize. Whereas when you're at 10, the only thing that actually is 3 objectives at once is Summit. And for Kippa Lord, the 3 objectives are bad. Doesn't matter. There's no such thing as a bad objective when you're winning 10-4. There's the objective your opponent's doing and the objective they're not. If you do 3 objectives your opponent isn't doing, you just win. There's really no way to lose unless you just repeatedly get locked out. So, even going for Grabless Rock Bottom would be a defensible play because you know your opponent's not, and you have time. It's way worse to get locked out of 2k 2.5k gems than ITC Berry. No, it's not. They're both one objective. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to win. They're both one objective, and you need 13 of them.
So I do want to say, as a side note, just I have to kind of give props to VideoK for playing this out. A lot of players would have just called GG a while ago, but honestly,
yeah, definitely.
I think playing it out is also a decent choice, just because part of the issue may well be, this is the first game VideoK has played today, and he's just not quite in the zone yet. So just keep playing for a bit, try to get in the zone so that you'll do better in the next game. Rather than just going, oh, this is terrible, and then still feeling terrible as you go into the next game. Of course, it depends on your mentality, because equally you could, if you keep playing when you're not feeling good, that could just lead to you feeling worse. But it can work out either way.
Yeah. But we definitely prefer to have content here rather than early GG calls, so we are definitely here for it. Having a good discussion about like routing here. If anyone wants to join, try playing bingo themselves, you can join the Discord. There's a link, and try playing bingo for yourself. See how well you can figure out good routes. It's a hard skill to learn, but it is definitely a thing that you can do. It's very fun.
Yeah. Also, to Bullet saying in a straight summit race without the berries diff, VideoK would be favoured with the any percent difference. Absolutely, yes. Without knowing the any percent times, you can just look at what's happened. The amount of time VideoK has spent getting berries is a lot more than the amount of time CVZN spent getting the cassette, and yet they're actually not that far apart.
Yeah, VideoK just takes 20 berries in 7A, and I still think there's a chance they win gems. and I don't even think it's a bad chance. Like, half of Orb Room and 2.5k Gem Room is not the easiest thing. We could absolutely see a death there. This is why Zen shouldn't be in Summit. I think Zen is doing the exact correct thing, and if they were doing something else, I'd also be saying they're doing the exact correct thing. You're winning 11-5. There's no such thing as a bad move. Like, they got one objective, and even if they lose this, they got one objective, lost two. That if they keep doing that, they get to 13-10. They still win, getting one objective, losing two. GSA, yo. Ah, CVZin gets the tick. Wait, Video Cake? Oh my god! That was so close. Video Cake
Oh,
hits
yeah.
the gem, reaches for it, and it just turns purple in front of them. That is tragic.
Honestly, I feel like, because I think the point is CVZen is using Bingo Client to keep track of objectives in game, but it's actually ticking in like a separate window or on her phone or something.
Yeah. Which
So I
is
feel like
uh,
there's the difference between Video Cake needing to press a few buttons to use Bingo Client to tick the objective versus CVZen possibly having her mouse already hovering over it.
yeah. This is the sort of optimization that doesn't come into effect all that often, but that's one of the reasons that I've always used just Bingo Sync instead of Client is it just is faster to take objectives when you have a mouse instead of clicking left 3 times and up twice to menu to it.
Yeah.
Okay, I think
I
Video
mean,
Cake is trying to get into core. CVZen is just not caring about core and finishing with library, so that is GG.
yeah. I think, yeah, it's rare that the speed of you ticking actually makes a difference between you winning an objective or not. The more frequent instance of it is if you take the time to hover your mouse over an objective ahead of time, then you don't have to waste time looking for it on the board,
That's also
because
true,
that can
yeah.
be a meaningful time loss where you get an objective, spend 20 seconds trying to find it on the board, conclude that maybe it's not actually there and you just imagined it, and then get locked out. That is a thing
Yeah.
that has happened to me.
Yeah, and another thing is just even if it's not like the direct timing of this exact tick matters, Video Cake, we noticed this earlier taking 2 keys and 3 keys in Power Source, spent a long time standing still menuing to an objective. If they hadn't spent that time in 5A, that time save could have carried over and they would have had time to take the objective here. If they just had a faster method of ticking those objectives all the way back in 5A. Alright, CVZen is, I think, 3 rooms away? I don't play a lot of 3B. Video Cake, now going for 3B, but in all likelihood, this is too little too late. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is the final room.
it's a good attempt.
CVZen just has one last room to clear, and then it's game.
Yeah, the, some of the lockouts in this game really were unfortunate. Even after the bad start, like we said, if Videocake hadn't quit out of 3A at Elevator Shaft, he could have gotten Diary,
Yeah,
and he still could have gotten the farewell objectives. He potentially could have gotten 2k and 2.5k gems, and suddenly this would actually have been a close game.
So that is the first round. But this is finals, which means it is best of three. So we are going to be seeing another game, and if Video Cake wins that one, a third round. However, that is it for me. I have done all of my commentating for today, so I'm going to be hopping off in a minute, and I believe we have. Actually, I think it might be both of us hopping off. What's the commentator schedule for
Yeah,
this
yeah,
time?
we're both going, and we will be replaced by Bulletin Fee and Isaac
Yep.
for the next
So
game.
we'll wait a second. There's Bullet. So yep,
Oh.
I'll see y'all from the other side of this. I'll be typing in chat for the rest of this bash.
Yep, enjoy
Hand
the
it off to
bingo.
you guys. See ya.
Yeah. Hello, hello,
Hello.
chat. Who's excited for potentially or the final two games of this intermediate bash cycle 9?
Yeah, it's been a good one so far. I'm really looking forward to game 2 of these finals here.
Yeah, after that gems race, I feel the blood pumping inside my veins. This is going to be fun, no matter which way this goes.
Yeah, I think in that last game, the score a little bit told a different story than the match with those really close lockouts in 2K 2.5K gems, and Shrine Orb was also incredibly close. That if those go differently, it's an entirely different game.
Yeah, honestly, I think most of those takes were pretty close because you had one of those games where both players choose pretty much the same route and one of them just maintains a lead that just keeps getting to objectives. It's
Yeah.
one of the sad ways bingo goes sometimes.
And Video Cake pointing out PB'd and 5B there. Congratulations. 247's a great time.
Oh, that's faster than my PV 5
It
for
might
like
also
8
be faster
seconds.
than me. Yeah, so I think we'll have just a couple of minutes for players to take a break, cool off a little bit, and then we'll get into game 2.
Yeah, definitely. Dude, our players needing to potentially play even 3 games in a row with the best of 3 finals. Always good to keep taking your breaks and also chat. This is also a good time. Get some water, stay hydrated, and we'll be missing much because few minutes we will be back for the second game of the grand finals. Yeah, get your lake sips in, as they say, but not from an actual lake. That would be unhygienic. Yeah, definitely. That is what them says. That is a really, really solid time to get, and yeah, that's always a good sign to be you in form playing at your best execution for the remaining games. I would say normally I am biased in games too of grand finals towards a player who lost the first game because I always like to see games, even if statistically that might not be as likely. So I'm certainly hoping for a game 3, but may the best player win.
Yeah, I think game 3 always is going to be more hype than just a 2-0 finals, but I'm really hoping that we can get just some more close games, interesting routing to talk about, all the things we love about bingo.
Yeah, I definitely also sense a bit of a rivalry coming up between these two players. I believe they also played each other yesterday in the group stages, and now they're here in the finals.
Yeah, and that game, Video Cake actually won. So players are tied 1-1 in their record across the tournament. Of course, Zen having a bit more momentum and some of that D-Rust coming through might make her favorite for some people's opinion.
Yeah, definitely. And what that really means is that they both have a fighting chance at winning this. It is going to be interesting no matter how it goes. Video Cake, while disadvantaged currently needing to win the next 2 games, certainly isn't out of this race by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we'll definitely want to keep an eye out once the game starts is what types of routing and objectives each player might be favored towards. Like we saw Video Cake had a really dominant time in 5B compared to Zen, and some more of those any percent or progress based objectives may just be the sort of advantage that you can use to snowball into a victory depending on the board.
Yeah, definitely. Riddick definitely has pretty significant advantage in any percent. I believe the Pokemon since they have a 32. They did before the bet say that they are a bit rusty recently, but with a whole bunch of bingo practice, you never know. And besides, they do have that faster strat set at their disposal.
Yeah. And we did also see there may be some bingo knowledge difference or just bingo rust from Zen, like missing the heart retry huge mess can be the sorts of thing that also, with the right board, with the right decisions, could tip the scales.
Yeah, definitely. It's really interesting to see intermediate match because this is at the level where players are, as often they do know a lot of the intricacies of bingo and a lot of specific ways to do things more optimally or save time. But at the same time, there's also a lot of variance and a lot of room for improvement regarding those things. So it's always interesting to see where sort of our players end up on sort of the spectrum.
Yeah, I remember when I was first entering Int, I would just refuse to do any core objectives, no matter what the board was, because my core was so bad. And it's still really bad, but that sort of thing, player preference, can
Oh yeah,
really change things
absolutely.
around.
For most of my time in intermediate, I still played 5A in any percent.
For a long time, that was also true of Arrow Bounce. Alright, looks like we are about to get started. Players have revealed the boards and we'll be off in just a moment. Alright, so immediately looking at this board, City Cassette, I wouldn't expect either player to go for quickly. Old Site Blue will definitely be a priority. 3 1-ups, all berries and intervention, and all collectibles 2A. That is a fascinating
Ooh.
start for 2A.
That had some interesting consequences in terms of how do you route in the side blue. Do you go for the 3-up first? Um, in my experience, 2A start is the best place to do a 3-up because you have 8 berries in the main hub if you don't stop for the Bino. And so you can pretty easily get all of those berries and just collect as you're falling down in that one section with the tiny crumble block.
Okay, hear me out on this. I I don't think this is
I
smart,
have a
but
feeling
I
you're
want.
gonna say
Are you
something,
ready?
but go ahead.
All right, you
Yeah,
city
alright.
skip.
Mm-hmm.
You get 8 berries, 3 1-ups and 2A start, and then site blue, tick site blue. It'll be about the right time as if you had just played 1A.
Ooh.
You get that last start berry straight into intervention arb. Tick that, all collectibles 2A.
That would give you
Bang, you're up
4
3-0
objectives?
and don't have a
Okay,
skip, and I haven't read the rest of the board yet.
the only thing then is Watson Resort. We have 8 keys is pretty late and often it's better to skip resort for that.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really
3A
count.
start
8
arb.
winged is pretty late. Blue red
3A start arb is
resort.
really
Mess
good.
hall?
And Oshiro stuns, you
Ooh.
should be able to win both.
I
Yes,
wouldn't say
Pocket Race is
both
correct. You
because
don't have the cassette for all collectibles there, so you probably don't tick that immediately. Um,
I
but
s-
you would tick Intervention ARB, and then you
okay.
have 2A full clear on lock.
So, if I was doing the city skip route, I would get City Blue first, restart chapter, get the 3 up, and after the 3 up, fall down and grab the cassette, and I will delay the old side blue as if I played City and got it. And then I'll keep
I'm
delaying my objectives as well.
I'm worried you would lose the 3-up though to someone playing it in City. That's why I wanted to rush 3-up.
Hmm.
Because you need
That is a good.
to get that 3-up with a convincing timing that you're still in 1A.
Yeah, although hypothetical rounding decisions that aren't happening on the game aside, we do see Video Cake going for Chasm Winged first, which does give CVZen a decent lead into finishing 1A over here.
Yeah, definitely something that's still losable just based on 1-up strats. I'd expect both players to go for 3-up and 2A start here.
It also depends on whether you go for the 3-up first or the Blue Heart first. Because
Also
if
true.
one player skips that, then they will be ahead, assuming the other player goes for it, because their timing is close enough. And yeah, CVZen is opting not to do the Blue Heart first. This makes sense.
Yeah, I think the 1-up is just higher prio because it synergizes with some of the berries.
Yeah, definitely.
Although, Zen skipping some berries. Is she just playing progress?
Meanwhile, Vyakik does go for that Blue Heart first. And
Yep.
oh,
Blue
3-up
goes.
over here, it's still possible. Okay, is this just rushing intervention arm? You do give up 2 objectives, but you get a significant progress. At least
I
looking at
mean,
this board, it
it could
seems like
be.
a 3A skip.
Random called this out. We didn't comment. Intervention 3-up. Okay, Zen's not going for it.
I would really doubt, because the issue is if you die to an intervention 3-up, you now also don't get intervention arb for all your effort.
But
Yeah, especially with
imagine.
the tick for the side blue, I can see CVZen just getting intervention arb and then skipping 3A to rush 4A. Because just looking at that, 5 in 5 favors skipping 3A. You also have Grabless Cliff Face. Although given how last game went, I don't know if either player would be hesitant to go for it again. There's also... Alright, do we have
Yeah,
objectives in
3A
early
skip.
temple?
I think 3A skip is fine here, but I might lean towards a temple skip. Um, if you just have the that easy choice. There's a lot of good stuff in 3A. Start ARP mess order, Oshiro stuns, and you'll have progress to 15 and 2. And there isn't a ton of good stuff in 5A, so you're not giving up that much.
There is one by 9.5 and B-side synergy. For me, more so, it comes down to the fact that I would really like to go back into 3 on this board than go there first. 3A startup, doing that first is very risky because if your opponent just skips it, they win mess order and have the progress. And so if you're not doing 3A startup first pass, you might as well just skip 3 and come back for it. I guess you could do final
But
berries.
what are you
really.
getting for the 3A skip is the thing. That you
I
get
think you
Grabless Cliff Face, and
get
then
5 and 5 faster, you
5
also
and
get 1
5.
by 9 5, progress towards 4 B-sides.
4
Which also
B-sides is
synergies
so
with
far
City
away.
Cassette and City B-side. Yeah, I mean, I don't go into Fire Force. I also think you can win 8 keys better if you skip 3A. Because you can get 5A, 5B keys and then come back into 3A start for 3 keys as well as all berries. And Temple also gives you access to your insert. So I guess they're both playable. They both mostly just set up objectives for later in the game. Although we do see both players are opting to play 3A over here, with CVZen having the lead, as we expected.
Yep, and neither player is going for start art, which of course makes sense. We'll want to keep note of which of these late berries each player chooses to go for, because you can save yourself a lot of time at the cost of a bit of time loss earlier.
Yeah, to me,
Yeah.
mostly it's just the top left berry at the end that's really slow, because the other late berries are honestly pretty fast. Because normally if you want to go 10 in 3 or 15 in 3A, I would often get most of the last 3 start berries.
Yeah, and depending on
Video
how
Cake-
you feel, like Zen knows that she has a, at least 10-15 second advantage just from not getting the blue heart. that you can use some of that time, at least for the quick berries at the end.
I missed it. Did either player complete intervention all berries, or did they would just get
No.
fast berries or not? Okay,
Zen
that is
didn't get any
interesting.
berries. I didn't see what Video Cake did.
Hmm.
Right. Zen into the mess order.
This might come up later, but I wonder if either of them got 5 berries in 1A or 2A to set up for the 5 and 5 later.
I don't think either player did. I saw Video Cake got a couple extra in 2A, but I don't think he hit 5.
Alright, we do see multiple instances of a best order actually being good here. It is the any percent order, and I don't believe you have much use for the heart any fate, so this would be the fastest order you would go for on this board.
Blue-red is on the board. Depending on
Actually,
how a
that
player's
is
feeling, you could complete the mess order. It is a towel's last order, and then go get the heart. But that would be a decent amount of time loss towards Oshiro's stuns and the rest of the board.
Yeah, I'm also curious to see if either of our player decides to do progress Oshiro stuns as opposed to just doing them all in the first room. That would be slower, but it also hedges better in case you get locked out of it. But although increasing the risk of getting locked out, and also just being a lot greedier if you do still win the stuns. I don't know how comfortable players at an intermediate level would be with going for something like that though. And we do see the mess order turn purple. Yeah, as we expected, CVZN being the one having the lead to that. Ooh,
And
if
Video
Video
Cake is
Cake
also going
skips
back
it,
for the heart. I don't think I really like this from either player. I think there's a lot still really wide open on this board that getting this blue heart doesn't really progress you towards.
yeah,
Oshiro
definitely.
stuns are still high prio to also know who's winning the exec race. And then all of this early stuff is still up for grabs. Intervention ARB, 3 1-ups, and
City Cassette
City Cassette,
especially.
it's looking
Like
really
even
tempting to
normally
do
I
right
would see
now.
City Cassette, but with 1B also being on the board. The other thing also to note is that CVZN doesn't know whether Video Cake even is playing 3A or what the progress is, but having seen that mess order take, Video Cake knows exactly what the difference between them is, and I think that was pretty clear that, okay, if you skip the heart over here, you can win the stuns, but at the same time, there's also a valid thought which says, okay, my opponent's ahead, they're likely just gonna skip the heart to secure those Oshiro stuns. So I'm gonna save myself time in the future by getting the heart now. So yeah, I do see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we do see a
Zen should
cassette
be able.
skip.
Or sorry, Video Cake. No, I'm mix up my names. Zen should be able to know by now that Video Cake is following in 3A, because you would have seen Grabless Cliff Face ticked by now.
I disagree with, especially with the mess order take. You would delay Grabless Cliff Face if you played 4A here.
Yeah, depending on timing, maybe.
Yeah, it's just really unlikely to see someone do all of the mess order here and then skip 3A. I mean,
I
at
was
that point,
thinking
even if
about
you
it.
lose Grappler's Cliff Face, you are fine with it because you've just gained so much else in return from that information.
Yeah, I was thinking that skipping into a late skip into 4A for Video Cake may have been decent. But it looks like Video Cake skipping the cassette wins Oshiro stuns and is just going to be ahead.
It is worth noting that means Video Cake also had skipped one key, which means he has 4 keys to CVZN's 5. Which could come into play later if 8 keys become contested. Although there is some incentive for Video Cake to later maybe just come back for the key and cassette.
Yeah, although with both players playing through all of 3A, I doubt 5A, 5B will be particularly high priority. So you could get those extra keys in Farewell towards Event Horizon,
Yeah,
and you don't pay any penalty for having 4 versus 5 keys.
I like going for City Cassette here. If I were Video Cake, I would have quit out after the Oshiro stuns and gone for City Cassette right away instead of finishing Presidential Suite first, because it's only really one very quick boom you lose out on. Oh, are we 6 City Cassette big? Okay, it's been ticked.
City Cassette's also ticked.
Yeah, delaying that is not really not the move.
Yeah, so this has been a bit of a heartbreaker sweep for Video Cake. That's letting Zen get a tiny lead into 4A after sniping City Cassette, when Video Cake could have been ahead to either of those.
Yeah, it just came down to some poor luck with Presidential Suite, which can always be such an easy checkpoint to lose a lot of time to. Alright, grabbing berries for 5. Is there 1-up also on the board?
Yeah, 3 1-ups still open.
Oh, right, that still exists. Okay, 3 1-ups in 4A start isn't the worst.
Skipped a berry. Zen has skipped a lot of berries.
Yeah, you should be at 6 here. You're at, well, 2 now. You can finish this in Shrine. At this point, I don't see you going for it, though. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I recommend Zen should just collect here. Yeah.
Alright. Where are we off to now?
That looked to me a bit like a tilt quit return to menu. She may have been going for that 1-up and upset at missing all the berry, or dropping too many berries.
Ooh, skips 4 for the 5 and 5 play. The tempo.
Oh,
Okay,
interesting.
this is very interesting. This will get you 5 and 5, and this should also help you with all the Bino stuff, because he still played enough for it to have access to Shrine Bino. I don't think he got the cassette Bino, which means this wouldn't, 4A wouldn't help here for 2 Binos in 3 chapters. Alright, Vidikick having 7 berries, just needs 1 more. Curious to see if they opt for this Vital Start berry or Berry Shrine. Final Start it seems.
Does. Yeah,
And
he got some.
very smoothly done.
I would have gone right up to Shrine and gotten one of the safer berries. But yeah, Zen into Temple. Also quitting out. Did not get 5 berries there.
And it's a 1B time, shoutouts to Maxo. And CK Frog, that might also be a good time to look at how late game looks on this board. I do see Grabless Hollows.
As well as Reach Rock
And
Bottom is some nice
that's some good
synergy.
synergy.
And that's it.
That's, oh wow, there is almost no late game here. I think at this point, the 6A stuff, it's up to you go into mid to late game, either just as a win con or when that's one of your best synergies left to get. It is a good synergy, but it is decently slow. So yeah, I see the 5V or the vid skip a lot more now, with late game being less important.
Yeah, so Zen is going for, looks like 1B now, after some quick barrier 2 in 1A.
Yep, 4,
But
5, and
I really like Video Cake's position here to grab Grabless Cliff Face. I suppose Zen could also enter Farewell. I'm mostly looking at Farewell as really strong. With keys still open and 5 binos in Farewell.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't dislike Zen's position. I would have liked it a lot more if Zen just grabbed the 4A cassette bino as well. Just because then you have a 1B Farewell 4A as a good 2 binos in 3. Assuming she skipped it, which I think is what happened.
Zen
and it's intervention arbit time.
A lot of things here. which I don't really love from her position.
I wonder if it's worth
There's
going to summit at some point for just 2 binos and 3. I guess it also helps a bit for the bino count.
2
Oh no, we
binos,
don't have a bino
3
count.
should be 1B for a farewell here.
Yes. Although once CVzen takes, or I guess she hasn't finished 1B, she's only in the first checkpoint. So yeah, as you said, setting up for a lot of things over here. I don't dislike that. It's generally a play that is frowned upon, although I have sometimes said to do that as well, where I'm just thinking, I want to just trade some objectives, and I don't mind if I lose out on time net. I just don't want to get locked out a bunch. I just want to get into a safe-ish endgame, having a
Yeah,
fighting chance as well as just advantages and disadvantages, and then playing off of that.
yeah, I think Zen has made some decisions here that don't make a ton of sense, but overall is in a decent position. I think the 4A skip makes sense, but then she didn't do anything with it. She didn't close out 5 and 5 early, which would have been the payoff. Instead, she's gone to do progress for things that were
I
already accessible without that skip.
Yeah, I think though this does make sense to go intervention up because you needed 5 berries into it anyways. And yeah, I think just cleaning up, getting those 5 berries, then going to 5A to finish out 5 and 5.
No, this looks like 3A start arb. Maybe towards 15 and 2 as well.
Yeah, potentially.
Video,
Meanwhile, okay,
video
a
gets that
decent
lockout from the
lockout
intervention arb.
with that delay. Which also was a risky delay because the 3 one-offs were taken a long time ago. This Regarding delays, my general take on them is that if something is a safe delay, then it's fine, you can go for it, even if you don't gain much out of it. Otherwise, you should be thinking, is it even possible for my opponent to steal this? And if it is, then you have to think, what am I gaining out of it, and what do I lose if I over delay? And in a lot of cases over here, I just don't see there being any real payoff to that you gain out of this delay, that I don't see the risk being worth it for myself. But okay, yeah, CVZen is continuing off to finishing 3A start arb.
Yeah.
And Video Cake is
Cake
also in
chasing her
3A
in.
start. Ooh. This could be interesting. Yeah, we
So
can see a
Zen's
series
getting
of unfortunate lockouts here.
Yeah, Zen's getting a lot of payout for her routing choices here. I think that she's been making decent decisions, but also Zen has not been, or Video Cake rather, has not been playing against it well. Video Cake could be cleaning up for a farewell right now to a lot of maybe not necessarily advantage, but to stay in the game. Whereas getting locked out of stuff here is gonna put him in a really tight spot.
Yeah. Although from his position, you just don't know what CVZen is or isn't doing because anything is possible. We say that, but what if CVZen's already been in farewell since like Shrine, let's say, and now you just go into farewell, you spend 5 minutes there, and you get nothing out of it. It's definitely a very difficult position to be in as a player, as opposed to a spectator being able to just see what's going on both sides.
The ridge skip into farewell, I think, is a much harder play to read. It may have been really good for Zen to play, but with 5 and 5 on the board, that's what I would expect to go after an early ridge skip.
Okay, are we gonna see a 3A startup delay? I hope not, but also...
We're seeing at least a little bit here from the stream delay, so...
Are we gonna wait till 15 in 3A? Also, why are we still playing 3A
Yeah, then
start?
yeah.
You have mess unlocked already.
Alright, start arb has been unlocked. Has been ticked.
Okay. And that is 13. Okay. Ooh, you don't really have a good choice for 2 berries here. Yeah, mess is the
Mess
best.
arb is fine. Can go into
Yeah, but
both
it's still a lot of
immediately.
time. It'll still be something like 40, 50 seconds.
Should be less than that for books berries, closer to 30.
Yeah, I missed what one berry she had.
The
Probably
wing, I
Charles
believe.
Hanged.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Alright. Video Kick though, it's still playing. I assume this is also for 15 and 2 race.
Yeah, that would be it.
14. Ooh. Needs one more berry.
Yeah, that should just be Shaft 1.
Shaft Forest? Yeah.
Yeah. Shaft is not a bad other choice for 2 or 3 berries as well. Certainly for 1, it's going to be really nice.
Yeah. I wonder if Video Kick now thinks, oh, while I'm here, might as well grab the key and the cassette.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know how much progress to 15 in 4A Video Cake has. Oh, he has all of
Okay,
it.
there it is.
So
Also,
Zen's gonna
an
lose out
interesting
on
thing to
this.
just note on getting that
2A.
berry, you don't have to actually cycle around. You can just land towards the right edge of the wormwood, left of the berry, and then just jump into the berry, dash left, and land back there. Just a small optimization, which I also find to be easier, execution-wise.
Yeah, so Zen loses 15 and 2 and is now going to play 4A. Oh, for
Oh,
Bino,
this
clean some up.
can also lose you 5 and 5.
Yeah, I think
Which
Zen,
would
Zen may have given up on it after losing that.
I
I
don't know
assume
why
that
you
she has
would though,
5
cause
in 4A.
yeah, if you have 5 and
Oh, that was
oh,
the bit.
okay,
Okay. I was worried
that
she was
was what that
playing
was.
through 4A for a Bino
Does
unlock.
Video Cake have 5 in the other 4 chapters? I'm not sure if she does in 1A.
She does. She cleaned that up before playing
Okay.
1B. Now it's just gonna be a race to 5 berries in 5A,
Yeah, I
and
think
I don't
I
think
really
Zen's
like Video
winning
Cake's
it.
position here. Also potentially has that skip. We did talk about reflection, but honestly, a skip for some summit banners could also work.
Oh, Video Cake
Eventually.
has 5 here, but doesn't have 5 and 5. Must be missing perhaps
Oh.
1A or 2A. No,
Yeah,
1A.
that
No,
not only
2A.
puts this in CVZ's favor. Although I think we are mostly out of the fairy madness that's been a lot of this board so far. It's always sometimes funny to have a couple fast fairy objectives early, but nothing late.
Yeah, Video Cake is... Yeah, just spent too much time cleaning stuff up in 5A, getting that winged, that he loses 5 and 5.
Right. She used to exit out of 5A. Where do they go? Ooh, 1B? For Video Cake. Or just a winged.
Yeah, I think winged berries.
The Video Cake did get the chasm winged first pass.
We
Remember.
haven't
So this
talked
is.
about it yet, but winged golden is on the board.
We will talk about it when a player had 7 winged. And not any sooner.
Video
But
Cake
yeah.
has got to be close, right? To 7
I think,
winged.
let's see. 2 in 1A, 1 in 2A, and 2 in 3, that's 5. 6, 7. Oh yeah, if you get all the berry
Yeah,
by.
he probably
Wait,
doesn't
you
have
can just
Awake
get it
Winged
in.
yet.
Actually, you can also just skip into Summit and get 8 winged in 500 meters, along with 2 binos, as well as 1 bino in another chapter. But playing
Yeah.
1B here is also good.
Did Video Cake finish 4A yet? The progressions on this board have been so
Wait, did Video
wild.
Kick also skip 5A and we missed that? Sorry, skip 4A?
Oh,
Have we had a
I'm
double
not
bit
sure.
skip? Or maybe after last game they just skipped going for Grapple's Cliff Face, because I know they
Yeah.
lost a lot of time to it and ended up just losing so much progress as well as the objective in the first game.
This is a fascinating game. both players making really scattered routes out of it, it's really hard to tell which player's
Yeah,
really
I
valid.
like this board. There is so much going on here. This is like you have taken so much and just cramped it into this tiny 5x5 space. You have everything from your city skips into your 3A skip into Brit skips now, as well as early farewell.
Yeah. Farewell is still so good for either player.
Yeah. Okay, at some point I do want to talk about the one bino in 5 chapter situations. So you have 2A, 3B, at least for CVSN, 4A, 1B, and then 5A or farewell. You have a lot of options. I don't think either player got 2A bino first pass. Although it's pretty quick to go back for, especially with 2A full clear being
Zen
on the
did get
board.
it. Zen did get the 2A Bino,
Okay, I stand corrected about that then.
but there's no payoff. Or for 1 and 5, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would prioritize Bido's more over here, but with neither player giving it as much importance, it works out for both of them, or for whoever gets it. Okay, there's the 3B. I expect this to be, yep, that's one Bino in 5 chapters. Right as I was talking about it.
Yep, and meanwhile we should see City B side get ticked for video cake pretty soon.
Yeah,
So a little bit of
Right.
stream.
Alright, we see the farewell play. This gets you 5 binos in farewell, 8 keys, and progress towards 2 binos in 3 chapters.
And progress to Event Horizon. And video
Oh,
cake is
right,
there as
that's what's
well.
on the
We've
board.
got a race.
Farewell race, you love to see it. Alright, so we have Sevizen not going for DTS. That also especially makes sense for a golden player. Meanwhile, Vidicake also opting not to go for DTS. That also makes sense. It's really tier, especially at the intermediate level, especially if you're not that used to running Farewell. Also, compared to doing the entire isle, the payoff is also less, especially if you don't have DTS specific strats. Oh, that is an exit back into 1A stuff for Wing Golden for Video Cake.
Oh, wow.
Alright, we do see it for that.
Yep, City
Oh,
B side
that
get
was a
ticked.
CDP delay.
Yeah, which makes sense after the 1 and 5.
Yeah, I think for 1 and 5 you can be pretty confident it happened in the start of 1B and not in Scrap It.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have delayed it much longer than Video Cake did, but at that length, very safe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this should definitely get Video Cake 8 winged after this. If he gets, I mean, Awake Wing helps you far to a full clear anyways, as the slowest wing left. And then Ultra Wing, if you don't have already, is really quick. And that would pretty much, yeah, that would get you to 8. It's struggling a bit with the first room of crossing. This 6-soul jump not
Yeah, it's a
being the
tricky one.
easiest. Yeah, definitely. I used to just pause buffer it until last week pretty much. But I finally got some amount of consistency out of this similar neutral setup. I'm sure everyone sort of just has their own preferred way of doing this. Okay, mix it.
Looks like he has a pixel for the second half, so that's safe as well.
Yeah, I think there's like a couple pixel window for the second half. It's pretty lenient.
Yeah, but it can be good to have a comfortable setup since the first half of the room can be tricky. You don't want to have to replay that.
To be perfectly honest, given how long this Wing Golden is looking like it's going to take, I don't really like this play as much because this only really gets you Wing Golden and 8 Winged, which I suppose are 2 objectives, but being you give up so much more because Season basically gets this uncontested farewell, 3 objectives out of it, and progress to a 4th, which gives her a pretty big advantage.
I don't think Zen gets 2 binos in 3, does she?
She does not, but she has pretty good access to it. Actually, no, she also doesn't have the second 1B Bino. So this only gives
Yeah,
her 2 Bino in one chapter.
yeah, and Video Cake can go and snipe that by just skipping Temple and entering Summit, right?
You know what would be interesting?
That's
If
a
Citizen
YOLO from
plays...
the chasm room there for the corner jump.
Nice. Yeah, it would be interesting. Like, one option is that CVZen goes back into 4A and plays to Cliff Face for the Bino there, as well as Grapple's Cliff Face.
Yeah, it would still lose 2 binos in 3,
Assuming Video
but
Cake rushes it after Wayne Golden, definitely. But I don't know how. Oh, it does not unlock Remembered. Actually, it does not get any of the keys, so that does make sense. Yeah, I guess you're still favored significantly if
yeah.
an Event Horizon race happens, and
And
I don't currently
Zen may
see it
do
coming down to that.
power source skip anyways, in which case playing through those keys for the unlock is much lower priority.
Yeah, I just meant you could still do the torso skip right now, but that's also fair. Okay, we are. This gets you a Bino for 2 Binos in 3. I don't. It gets you a cassette for 4 B-sides later if you decide to go for it.
Yeah,
So yeah,
well,
definitely
you
want
would
to
never play
prioritize
4B
those
for
Binos now.
4B sides.
Mm,
Because 3B is already on the board.
that is true. At least for both pairs. I have already in that I would probably honestly just play 4B instead of 5B if I had to choose between the two, but I'm definitely an exception there.
Yeah, that's not... Most people's 4B is slower than 5B.
Yeah, I am not most people.
You're unique.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Alright, Ryukik is back into 3A getting the cassette. The key right now doesn't matter because 8 keys is already turned purple. But this should also help towards 2 binos in 3, with 3B having 1 bino in the very beginning and the
But
second
actually,
bino being in the final room of library.
but Zen's gonna get there first, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Just needs to be this checkpoint and a couple of rooms of the next one. Although that wouldn't be a phase for Video Cake because there are 2 objectives that 3B does help towards.
Yeah, getting this cassette is fine, but Video Cake really needs to prioritize the 2 and 3, because Zen is gonna have that
I don't know if Video
sooner
Cake even
rather
has
than later.
access to it. So
We've been
yeah, 2 and
assuming
3
that he
is...
does with Temple Skip, but I'm not
I don't
100%
think you have the
certain it's
time
available
to
to.
beat all of 0 meters and get it to 2 binos in 500. Okay, that does go purple, and that's 9 objectives for CVZen. At this point, I think Video Cake does kind of just need to get some lockouts, but just one good lockout can definitely swing the momentum here.
Yeah,
It's still a close game because the remaining objectives are just so scattered. Alright, unraveling, this
Zen's gonna
does...
go talk to Theo and search.
That makes sense. There's also 5 A sites, which this helps towards. Actually, yeah, for 5 A sites, going back into 4A to do Grabless Cliff Face is also good.
Yeah, do Grabless Cliff Face after you talk to Theo, and then finish Rescue.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
And even if some of that gets lost, you still have 6A as a backup.
Yeah, the interesting thing about doing Theo in Search Force is that once you take it, VideoCake has to respect the fact that if you're ever at 11, you can just play 6A to win. And you are pretty close to having access to it, which might even be or make VideoCake have to play 6A and then you can clean up elsewhere. It gives you a lot of options. So I definitely like this play, as opposed to just more anti-progress objectives. Focus in the Chat, 5 A sides and 4 B sides on the same board. Yeah, that's always rough to see. It's just
And reach a
9 whole
renaissance
chapters.
as the tier 25.
Yeah, that's pretty much a chapter in itself. Yeah, this is certainly a long board if it goes the whole way. Although, at least on the other hand, we don't really have any summit here. No 2.5k gems or 3k arb.
Yeah, that would just be cherry on top.
Yeah, I think... Okay, Video Kick I think might just finish 3B over here. Actually, after having seen those Bino ticks, you know, like B-sides it's something that's likely contested, and if CVZen is going to play 3B anytime soon, scoring this lockout could be really good. And also with the search, Tier and search take, you can delay this quite a bit as well.
Yeah. You also get just a bit of kind of a soft win for 4 B-sides, because after signaling City B-side and Blue-Red Resort, it's unlikely that Zen would want to go play 4 B-sides to catch up against the 2 that Video Cake needs.
Definitely. Alright, we are at least finishing search over here. Maybe just finish rescue and just go for 6A. That 6A here gets you to 12. There's just one other objective you need to pick up. Oh, I missed it. Video Kick is delaying Wing Golden, right?
Yes.
And 8 Winged. Ooh, okay. So the score is actually a lot closer than I thought at first.
8
Right, going back into 4A as we predicted. Oh, 8 Winged.
Winged
Oh,
it's
it's
just Wing Golden.
Okay. Okay, so it's 10-7. Oh, after Gravel's Cliff Face. And then, oh, you actually even just get to 12 with 5A. And unless Video Cake goes into Cliff Face right after finishing this 3B here, this is looking really difficult to make a comeback farm.
Yeah. Random 6A does not really get you 5A sides. When like you could, but it's faster to finish 4A with Gravelous Cliff Face than to play all of Rock
Bottom and Illusion. Yeah, also Pocket Illusion. Video Cake does a pretty spicy demo in, I believe it's the 4th room off rooftop.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, it's really a fun one. It's the one like the demo in the room after the normal 3A demo, where you just sort of, it's like a 2-frame you do like directly after a hyper. Alright, there's the Wing Golden tick. I think, yeah, that makes sense with the delay given how long it has been.
Yeah. And Video Cake finally trying to clean up Gravelous Cliff Face.
Oh, this is good. This
should have enough time advantage here. We did see Zen's much more comfortable, but Video Cake does have this whole checkpoint lead.
Okay, this comes down to, does Video Kick have a skip still available? Because if not, then it doesn't really matter, because CVZen still finishes 4A, finishes 5A, gets 5A sides, and then wins off of Reflection.
Yeah, sources are saying Video Cake definitely does have a skip.
Okay, good.
Then yeah, I think
so. They just did not do Gravelous first pass. Wait, if Video Cake wins this, then played 6A, that gets up to 10. Does she have a win condition after that? Or how does this go? Farewell, we know it's CVZen favored. Yeah. All
Blue Red
Resort
is also delayed.
Okay.
Or it might.
This
it
is
might
a much
be,
closer game than it looks.
Might not be delayed. I don't know if Video Cake has the 3A blue, but if it is delayed, it's a quick one to clean up.
The thing though is that CVZen has another win condition that is a lot harder to contest, which is 5 A sides, all collectibles 2A, and Event Horizon. All 3 of which she has decent lead to, but it's not so much lead that they can't be stolen.
I don't think Zen really has a lead to 2A full clear.
She has Intervention Art done, right?
You're right. That's against Awake Winged
And Blue Heart.
Blue and Cassette. I think Video Cake
Ooh.
also got the cassette I saw. But anyway, Zen
Oh.
is getting out of Gravelous Cliff Face ahead. Video Cake has been stuck in this hard final snowball room for a bit.
Yeah, this is also the room that did it for the last game. Unfortunate that both of your games back to back come down to this single room grabless. Yeah, that strat
Gets
that Video
picked.
Kick just did, that's the way I do it normally, is you just do a reverse hyper over there into an upright that safely gets you onto the next platform. Unfortunately, it's too little too late. Maybe you have so many options CB after 5A sides.
Video Cake is considering, yeah, the skip into taking 6A. That's exactly what he needs to do because Zen still has to finish out all of Rescue, which will take a minute or two. So
Yeah, definitely.
it's not over yet. It's close, but it's not over
It's
yet.
I also don't think Video Kick ever got an indication. Sorry about that. I don't think Video Kick ever got an indication that CV's and skipped 4A. There's a reasonable chance you expect, okay, she might just go into reflection right away, and so I need to be here right now to contest it. So, good awareness on that.
Yeah, Video Cake doesn't know where Zen has really been.
Nice
Speed
new
from
over
Zen,
there.
very nice.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool to see. I think also regarding 5A sites, you pretty much just know you can't contest it anymore no matter what. If anything, finishing 6A is your fastest remaining A side if you get the 2 objectives. As opposed to, I think... actually, I don't know. Playing Temple from Depths. It also depends on how comfortable they are with it. Although that isn't something that's actually gonna end up mattering, as we see 5A sites turn purple.
After a quick detour to tick and untick 4 B-sides.
4 B-sides, 5 A-sides. What's the difference?
What's the difference, really?
3B! Is this delay gonna come into play?
No, Pocket Wraith is correct. Zen is just gonna win with Event Horizon.
Yeah, I think eventually that's gonna happen,
Yeah,
either
which
that or
is
2A
going right
full
now.
clear, but you never know. Okay, this is an Event Horizon play. Yeah, I think the safest over here, given everything that's happened, it's pretty likely that your opponent has not played Farewell, or not, at least you're even in progress.
Yeah, and Zen might just be more comfortable playing through Remembered than 3B, and knowing that 3B is a little bit more likely to be contested, even if it might be faster, just go with what you want to play in this position.
I could also just see you multitask 2A full clear and this, although you are risking a 2A full clear delay at that point. But yeah, playing against, even if you have advantage to objectives when your opponent has 12 is really risky because you are no longer getting any information all game. Because if you get any more information, it's that the game's over. And so you just have to figure everything out, time your delays, etc. out of no more information. And that's really difficult. Alright, let's see how this power source skip goes. Wonderfully done!
Very nice.
You love to see it.
Yeah. A little bit of an early death in the power source hub room, but the skip itself is clean. So that should
definitely
be a GG for Zen in just a couple minutes of Farewell.
Yeah, Random says you get the information off. They haven't won yet, so I guess I locked them out. The other possibility also is that they're just multitasking really, really much. Like, 2 objective multitasking sometimes see. Sometimes you can even just see a 3 objective multitasking. So, yeah, you still don't know. Except to play with your gun. Alright. Video Kick finishing Crabless Hollows. on his way to reaching rock bottom as well. The checkpoint, not. I guess it all figuratively for this game as well, but it's still been a very good showing. And yeah, I think. What objectives do you think? Sweet. Do you think 2 binos in 3 was the turning point for this game that made this really
I
good
think
in Season's
two
favor?
two binos in 3 was just a routing, I think, misplay from Video Cake. I think he needed to go for that much earlier. And
I
then
would.
missing the lockout to Grabless Cliff Face. I think those are the
Yeah,
two
I
turning
also think
points.
Wing Golden when it was done, I didn't like as much. I guess it
I think
was
that
two
was fine.
objectives. Hmm. Yeah, I guess that's just more of a heights I think of. You needed to kind of beat somewhere where Video Cake would contest and Wing Berries were just never contested. Which you didn't know, of course.
Yeah. Alright, and that...
Is
that's
more stuff
the
turning blue.
ticks for Video Kick. I have no
Yeah, we
I have no
have
idea how long Remembered actually is. This could get ticked at any point.
like 2 more rooms, I believe. Oh, unfortunate death at the end of this room is definitely tricky.
But yeah, at this point, Video Cake, I think, has to know that he can't contest Event Horizon, and Zen only needs one. But again, props to him
Yeah,
for playing it out.
I mean, final game of the finals. I don't think you call it GG, you play it out. But still, props for playing it out though, as you said. Oh yeah, Season's really struggling with this room. There's a
In
couple
fairness,
ways
this
of
room is
doing.
really hard.
Yeah, I either not get the puffer boost and then do what he just did, or you get the puffer boost and then you can dash uplift back. Sometimes I've seen someone also just get the double dash crystal, come back. Oh, is this a
Oh,
C-pop?
wonderful C-pop.
Ooh,
You hate to see it.
you really do.
But yeah, a ton of different ways to do this room, and none of them are easy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, yep. That was the second last. Well, when I said the last 2 rooms, I meant the real rooms. After this is just movement. And you reach.
Yep, and there's the tick, I believe. Yep, I saw something go
Alright.
purple.
Oh, okay, it turns inventory right here.
Yep.
Yep,
GG
that is
Zen,
GG.
the winner
Right.
of your intermediate Bash 9. Well played,
Yeah,
both players. Two really close games. The boards might not have looked like it. This one certainly looks close, but Video Cake was well in it. But both games all the way through, with just a couple of lockouts turning the tide.
yeah, definitely. And a huge shout outs to all of our players for playing, as well as the organizers, our wonderful Restreamer 2 Kill today, and fellow other commentators and volunteers and referees who made this all possible. Big Go fans. Um, if you're sad to see this Big Go event end, don't sweat because we have a lot more coming for you soon. Museum of Bingo should be happening in just a few short weeks, and if you want to stay updated regarding um Museum of Bingo, if you have suggestions for, I think this particular variant's really nice and I would like to see it, join our Discord and there's a form to fill out. If you want to play bingo yourself, I also highly recommend joining our Discord at Celeste Community.
Yeah, those suggestions for Museum probably won't be up for much longer, but do keep an eye out for the player signups if you want to play some of the unhinged bingo variants. Those signups should be up relatively soon.
Yeah.
So stay
Well,
peeled,
there's also a very
join our
good ratio
Discord.
of perfectly thin normal bingo variant that also will happen in Museum.
Let's be honest, we're all here for the unhinged variants in Museum.
Of course,
That's
we're
why
all
I'm
here for the
here.
chef specials.
Yep. And after that, I think a couple weeks after Museum, we'll be having Advanced Bash 9. So if you're just a little bit higher skill players than what you saw here, then keep your eyes peeled for that. The signups will be up in a few weeks.
Yep. Yeah, that was just 2 games both coming down to some Gravel's Cliff his execution differences. Although for this last game it didn't come down to
Yeah, Zen pointing out she cite red Graveless Cliff face. Definitely that's the Goldener hard maps buff. Those 2 lockouts were definitely turning points in both players, or sorry, both games. So GG's to Zen on that. And it looks like we've got a raid going over to Mikshol, who's running some 100%. Everyone make sure to drop some bingos and burgies in his chat.
You definitely. Mitchell also a very prominent bingo player and someone I would expect to see in Museum coming up, as well as our bashes after that, with the Advanced and Expert bash also coming up. Yeah, there's a lot happening in January, so stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned, join the Discord, and we'll see you then.
Yep, thanks for having us. See ya.